you don't care because you don't know if this one we're going to marry or 4 more down the line.
Right.
And so if that makes sense, I'm very definitive on my stuff. Probably my wife gets cut under the same umbrella, but we think a lot alike, and we're going to let our kids do whatever they want. And I have an unbelievable discipline about saying, it's your life, you choose. You're a grown-up. I taught you to be a grown-up. That's what I think God did. I don't own them. God just let me help train them, and now they go. So it's very easy for me to let them make whatever choice they want.
K-State has already experienced life without Bill Snyder once. It didn't go so well. Now it's time to experience that again. Among the fans, I think there was probably the sense that this was the right time finally. The first time, maybe they felt it was the right time too, because whenever you're losing some games, everybody, and then he's that much older, he's gone through cancer, all that other stuff. But still, there's always been the thought out there, and it's still out there until it happens, that K-State can't win with anybody but Bill Snyder because they haven't. So it's a very interesting time for K-State right now.
Yes, and it took absolutely a guy like Bill Snyder or the 3 or 4 people in the world like a Bear Bryant who, remember how he taught Texas A&M how to win in Kentucky? I mean, it was bull in a china closet. So when we talked about 1989, needed Bill Snyder. Not true now. But it's okay to ask the question because if you said, well, 27 years of Bill Snyder of winning and no one else, it's not as if they couldn't. He's dominated the last 30 years. So let's see. I think so many more things are in place. The game of football is so much more competitive. You look at Nebraska, hasn't been ranked for the last couple of years. Who would have ever thought that would have happened when we were living in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s? The scholarship limit, the movement of players, and the amount of emphasis. Everybody's on TV. There's a lot of money being poured in. There's a lot of passion. So there's no reason why K-State can't compete all the way to the national championship level. I'm not sitting here nervous that because Bill Snyder's not the coach that K-State can't go to whatever level you want to say. But I will be the first to say, to take for granted that it's easy and that Bill Snyder's excellence isn't just oozing out all over the place is not accurate. I don't care what age he is. I don't care if he's in his 27th year, he came off cancer, and he's almost 80 years old, Danny. The excellence that guy has should never be discounted. And so it's not going to be easy for Chris Kleiman or anybody else. But the opportunity's there. It doesn't have to be one of the greatest 5 or 10 coaches in the country with a bullheaded attitude, not listening to others. You don't need all those things right now. You can go out and win. So I'm optimistic, and I think a guy like Chris Kleiman gives him a chance. He's used to getting first place, and in any competition, that's something that people don't experience, that being hunted and being in a position where you have to win, that's what Big 12 football is like for any coach. Doesn't matter who you are, even KU. You better win or they're going to be waving goodbye to you. And so at North Dakota State, it wasn't the same level of players or coaches, but he had to get first place or people were mad at him. So it's a good training. What I really like is a lot of things he says, win a dang day, is no different than Bill Snyder teaching those players, let's just get a little bit better every day. You know, there's many of the same lessons. If we had a Mike Leach clone who said, you know, our tackles are not going to line up near the guards, they're going to line up at the hash marks, and our quarterback's going to take snaps, and we're never going to have a running play, and all that stuff, I'd be going, watch out, you may be throwing the baby out with the bathwater. There are certain things about winning, not at K-State, but at most schools, Iowa State, a lot of schools, the Baylors, you've got to do certain things right that you don't get the advantage of just having the next class come like they do at OU and say, sorry, you messed up last year. We'll be fine this year.
Right.
So I love the fact that a lot of the things he's doing are respectful and smart Bill Snyder football. And then he puts his modern flair on it, his own way of doing things, and that's not bad either. Because the message, I joked about it, I hope my wife doesn't want to divorce me, but it is kind of bad that my message is the same as it was when I was 25. The things I like, the things I respect, the things I expect of myself are so boringly consistent that sometimes you might not want to hear the message. That's what Bill Snyder does. So there's definitely a factor that the players just like, oh, yeah, I know this. I know what he's going to say before he says it. And even though he says it needs to be said because there might be some freshmen that haven't heard it, it can wear on you a little bit. So that spark is going to be nice for the players. I mean, I got a son who's in his 3rd year at K-State. And he's lucky to be coached by the legendary Bill Snyder. But it's been awesome for him to have Chris Kleiman and the other coaches come in because their ears are wide open. Like, what is he going to say? We don't know what he's going to say. Oh, that's interesting. So there's a real spark. Same message, probably packaged a little differently.
Right. Now, you've talked about your relentless consistency. So now you're at a stage of your life where your kids are gone from your home. You have grandchildren. Is there any possibility of Stan Weber slowing down, smelling the roses, seeing other things that maybe he hasn't seen? You know, tonight as we tape this, you're going to have your buddies over to play your football game, which you've done for years and years and years. So you said you're boring. That's not true, but I guess boring in the way of you don't want to go to Tahiti tomorrow. But can you see retirement Stan Weber?
Not really. It's a little more uncomfortable for me. I think I really enjoy being around people and communicating with them. But Danny, the times that I enjoy communicating with people is when there's serious things to talk about. And that doesn't mean life or death, just philosophies or whatever. For instance, in this environment, when the microphone's on, I can't think of anybody that I've been with, broadcasting with, that I haven't enjoyed thoroughly. But I also get to see their best. They're the highly professional, their brains focused, and they're trying to communicate the best they can, and I love talking to them. With the mic turned off and you said, well, why don't we just go sit around for a couple hours and drink some wine, and I might say, yeah, Danny, I'll do that. But if we don't talk about what your philosophies are or things that are interesting to me to learn and get better, I just to socialize and say, man, I drank some alcohol and I sat around, I don't enjoy that at all. I would rather move on. So I like having assignments. I'm bad about saying no. It's not as if I want to plan every minute of my day, but as people know, as you get older and you have opportunities, experience, activities, you can easily schedule your day all day long. And I pretty much do. And in the summer, when it slowed down just a little bit this summer, because I wasn't coaching competitive basketball like I used to, didn't have 2 or 3 kids going to games and events and high school stuff, I wasn't scheduled out of the crazily, I actually felt a lot less comfortable. It's harder for me to say, I got 2 hours and I should just sit back and enjoy it. It's much better to me to say the yard has to be mowed. It's going to take an hour and 15 minutes. So what am I going to do? 2 birds with one stone. I try to do 2 birds with one stone, TVs or whatever it is. I go, hey, I haven't listened to Danny's podcast. Boom, podcast, hour 15. I mean, I'm learning. I'm on the radio, enjoying, but mostly learning, listening while I'm mowing. Both things need to be done. And when I come in, I love to say, boy, I need a shower. It's time to eat. And it was time to eat, like, oh, boy, I need to do this. I need to drive, an hour to give this speech. So my schedule is pretty full, but I actually feel way more comfortable focusing on the next task and having it. And today, people don't, this specific day, who cares? But, I got to work at 7:30. Oh, I had a dentist appointment. So I went to my dentist appointment. Got back, worked for an hour and a half. Went to a funeral to one of my great friends and saw tons of people that I love and don't get a chance. So 2 hours there. But then I went and hosted an event for our company for an hour and a half. And then I said, okay, now I need to go back. Made some calls while I was in the car, and then when I got to my next destination, business calls. And then I go, oh, doorbell, there's Danny. He's here. You and I are doing this. And probably within 10 minutes after you leave, 6 or 7 people will come over, and they'll say, I run the game, I organize the league, and suddenly it's 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and I say, oh, wait, I got to do a little K-State football. I'll stay up from 11 to midnight, do that, and go to bed, and I'll be the happiest guy in the world. That's much better than saying, wow, it's 6:30, what should I do? I'm not very good. I'm not very good of not having a purpose, and the purpose I have are things I love.
Right.
My kids, my grandkids, my wife, jobs around the house that have to be done. Don't like those so much, but have to be done. My SFL league and the fellowship I have there, and getting ready to broadcast or doing broadcasting and work. I love all of them. So the thing that is easy is that adrenaline flow keeps popping up. I'm never bored with my boring life, and I never am tired. I don't get tired. I'm just excited. Like, hey, it's time to go to sleep. I wish I didn't have to go to sleep, but I guess I do. So let's go. And then we got to get up at this time, so I can only sleep 7 hours. Great. I hate Sunday mornings where you go, hey, you could sleep for 9 hours. No, Nancy fortunately says, let's go to church. So we get up early on Sundays. We get rolling. Every day's the same. And my wife's like that, too. She's like the Energizer Bunny. So we are perfect for each other because she doesn't say, well, can we just sit around on the porch and sip a little tea and, that kind of stuff. She has no desire for that.
Let me ask you this sort of in closing. I don't know the answer to this question. I don't know many questions that I could ask you that I sort of don't know the answer because we've been around each other so long. Have you ever gone like on a regular old vacation?
Not really, no.
I thought I knew the answer to that question.
And that's probably where I've stolen from my kids the worst. It's I love regular life. I don't look forward to vacations. I really don't have time because I give speeches to business groups, and what do they say? How do you fit in a kind of a full-time broadcasting career with what appears to be a full-time job? How do you do it? And the easy answer is, while other people are doing other aspects, taking care of their grandma or whatever they're doing, I just happen to be doing broadcasting in the evenings and that kind of thing. But the real thing is, I do take vacation from my regular work job to go to the events. If I take off a Thursday to go to a K-State basketball game, I take vacation on the other. So I utilize my vacation, but I don't go to destinations. And unless you call NCAA tournaments, bowl games, where I get to bring my family, I feel like this is wrong now that I'm older. My kids like, you get to go to a bowl game and you get to do all these activities. But really, why don't they get to go to Estes Park or Disneyland or just go to the beach and say, we've got 4 kids, 2 parents, the 6 of us just get to be around each other. And that's probably the saddest thing is I sit here today, my youngest child's ready to turn 21, and they really never got to go on vacations. And I was so busy. I never needed vacations. I don't think my wife needed vacations. We like regular life too much. But I can tell that my kids never griped about it. But now it's kind of sad that we never did. So you talked about the retired version. Here's what I'm going to do, Danny, because old people can get their kids to go with them if they pay for it. It's kind of a sad truth in life. But we're going to go to the beach or something, like when everyone gets married and they have kids or whatever. That's when I'm going to say, I know it's going to cost a fortune, but we're all, whatever it is, 10, 20, we're all going together. If you want to go to this
North
beach,
Carolina or whatever.
Yeah, and then spend a week and try to make up for old times. And maybe they and their spouse will say, okay, if it's for free. I found that usually, I hate to be, I'm pretty realistic about psychology. I don't mind paying for it. But I think they might say yes. I don't think they'll say, "Oh, Dad, I'm too busy. Sorry, I can't go," because it's for free. You can take your kids and go have fun. You just kind of have to be around us some. So, no, I kind of that's one thing I probably should have done different, and I may try to make up for it when we get a little bit older. But I'm already making excuses like, well, when they all get married and suddenly it's 5 years more, Yeah. Life's flying by. Danny, I love just the regular Tuesday. I love regular Tuesday. I have no desire for vacation Tuesday.
Stan Weber, that's a great way to wrap it up. And as we do wrap it up, we will be once again doing College Football Game Day on WHB as we have for the past 20 years, and it'll be a pleasure to do that. And I didn't get a surprising answer to the vacation question. I didn't think I would. That's a good way to wrap things up, and it's been my pleasure.
It's great to do this with you. I wish you the best on this venture. I know you care and you're so professional, but it's been a great joy to work with you on College Game Day and other aspects, but that's kind of the main thing. And that means that we not only have had a great time on the air, hopefully a good product, but because it's on Saturday mornings and so forth, you really have had more exposure to my family than almost anybody else in my broadcast industry. I usually get there myself and go to work. You're the one that's seen me, hey, I got 2 kids with me this time. Right. We're at this
I've seen them grow up.
You really have. I'm not surprised that you're not surprised by my answers because you actually have got a little behind the scenes. Usually I say, don't worry about my family. I'm here to do my job. But we've kind of broken that rule. I apologize, Danny. You have to deal with my whole family. But it's been great seeing you, and especially you have such a fair analysis on everything you do. I love working with you. But one of the great things is you are a KU fan, and when they put us together, some people might say, well, it's game day, Stan's really fired up, it's about K-State. There's no doubt about that. You see me with purple clothes on and my kids and everything else, but it's been great because